Hey guys, here's another review of a mechanical keyboard, the Leopold FC660C, but this one is not your typical common mechanical keyboard that uses Cherry MX switches. This one uses Topre switch, and they're completely different. I'll probably touch on that in a minute. So here's the box. I bought it at EliteKeyboards.com. Here's their sticker seal. They put this on pretty much everything. This is the very first batch. I got it for about $100 or $215 out the door, but retail is $190. I got it the same day it came out. It only comes in black and English printing, but this here suggests that future batches will have a few other choices of keycaps and color. All right, let's go over the accessories real fast. They don't include very much. So here's the USB cable. This part here is gold colored, but I'm not sure if it's actually gold plated or not. A few extra keycaps, a Velcro cable tie, and a manual that's a whole 1 page long. Alright, so let's get onto the keyboard itself. Alright, it feels pretty solid. There's no flex to it at all. And it is pretty heavy for its size, about 1.5 pounds. I do see one weak point though, is that the center right here, the outer plastic frame, if you press on it, it does bend a little bit. See? But this shouldn't be a problem because, come on, nobody actually squeezes their keyboard like this every day before they use it. The surface is textured, so it's not perfectly smooth. Alright, so the layout, it's in an ANSI layout with 66 keys. Here's the size comparison between my other custom keyboard. So this is my custom Phantom. It's also considered a compact keyboard because it doesn't have the side number pad right here, but it does have the full function row and these side keys. But the Leopold, it's basically just this section right here, just the main keys, and maybe a few of these right here, but mainly it's just right here. So you can see how compact it is. All right. Okay, all the keys are standard sizes except this bottom row right here, and I'm guessing that's because this little arrow cluster here, it kind of smushes everything in this way. So I think this spacebar is a little smaller than the standard 6.25 units. But let me just check real fast. So this is the standard spacebar, and yeah, it is a little bit smaller. So this looks like a 6-unit spacebar. Okay, I do like this dedicated arrow cluster right here. I use it quite a bit, but then these two keys right here, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Because, you know, in such a compact form factor, these two keys feel like they're a waste of space because they're isolated off to the side and has a lot of wasted space around them. You know, at least the delete keys, it's useful sometimes, but then this insert key really isn't that important, and they should have put something more useful, like, I don't know, F5 or something. All right, well, enough of that. So let's go into the bottom. You can see that it has a dip switch here. So this keyboard is not programmable, but they do give you an option of switching a few keys. So you can swap the caps lock and the control key, and that's actually what the caps they included do. So when you swap the keys, the keycaps correspond to the switch. Okay, so you can also swap the Windows and the Alt key. And if you don't like the function on this side, you can switch it out with the Windows key on this side. All right, so continuing on with the bottom, it includes 4 rubber grip right here, and this prevents the keyboard from sliding around on the table. And it also includes this flip up optional feet right here. And this is in case you want to elevate the keyboard, so if you want more of an angle when you type. This feels very snappy. When you flip out and in like this, you don't actually need that much force. So this feat is one of the better ones that I've seen. Now if you compare it to my custom keyboard, this is a Phantom, but then the case itself, I'm using it from a Philco case. And you can see here that the flipping feels a little dull compared to the Leopold. It's not as smooth. Okay. And then another thing is this little part right here. This is actually rubber. So I know most keyboards, they have optional feet, but then they don't actually put rubber right here. So then when you put it on your desk, it still slides around. But then this Leopold here, it feels pretty solid and it won't move very much on the table. So I'm just glad they paid attention to small details like this. Alright, so let's go on the keycaps now. These are supposedly PBT, but I think they might be a cheaper grade PBT than the normal ones that I've seen, and I'll show you why in a minute. Let's take the spacebar off too. Okay, so they feel a little light compared to the other ones. And here you can see that it has seams that you can see on the bottom right here. It's pretty visible. My other ones don't actually have this. It's not perfectly smooth. And another thing, when I press on it, it actually bends and flexes. See? Compared to this one right here, this is from Cherry MX. This is also from a Leopold FC660C, so the Cherry MX version. And these PBT right here, you can see that the thickness, they're about the same, but they just feel heavier. I mean, I'm not weighing it right now, but then just in my hands, I can feel that this one is heavier. And also when I press on it, they don't bend at all, or actually very little. So they just feel a lot stiffer. Alright, so also the printing on this, I think it's just pad printed. I know with higher quality PBT, the printing they use is dye sublimation. I'm guessing it's because they want to save cost on the material and the printing, because they can pass that on directly to the customer. Which is why I'm guessing it's a bit cheaper than the other two Topre, the Real Force and Happy Hacking keyboard. Those go for about $250 to $400, but this one only comes in at $190. So I'm guessing they cut corners on these caps right here. And with these, when you type on it for a long time, the printing could rub off easier. Okay, the texture on the surface, you can see it's a little bit rough. It's not perfectly smooth, but then the sides here, they're more smooth than the top. Okay, the color, it says that they're black, but then when you compare to true black, then you can see the difference. I mean, by itself, it does look like they're black, but then when you compare to this one right here, okay, these caps from my Phantom are true black. Compared to the Leopold, you can see that color difference. Okay, so these are dark gray, not black. Okay, so on the side right here, you'll notice like a little physics equation, And if you're wondering what this is, it's capacitance equals charge divided by voltage. And I thought it was pretty clever that they included this because Topre switches are capacitive switch. And I'll get into that right now. Alright, so Topre switches, they're hybrids of a mechanical mechanism and membrane dome. When you press the keys, it registers through the concept of capacitance, and that's where the sensor detects the electrostatics. Now, as opposed to Cherry MX switch, these are true mechanical switches, and this is based on contact instead of capacitance. So when you press it down to the actuation point about halfway, right here, it'll make contact, and this will short the circuitry, and that's when you get the keys to register. It's about right here. Okay, so that's the basic of it. If you want to know more, you can look it up yourself, but I'm not really going to cover that. Let's see, the stems. These are the stems right here. You can see that they're a bit bigger than Cherry MX stems. Okay, and when you mount the caps in, the stem from the keycap, it actually inserts inside the switch. That's exactly opposite than the MX stem, where you have the stem of the switch, it goes inside of the keycap. Like that. Okay, these mount inside like that. Okay, let's actually get to some sound test. Oh, actually, forgot to mention that out of the box, this keyboard has a space bar that was a little heavier than the rest of the keys, and I didn't like that at first, but then I found out when I took off the space bar, they included this optional spring right here. So this spring is what caused it to be a little heavier. But then I prefer my keyboards to be uniform, so I just took off this spring. So I'm glad they gave that option to users. Okay. I forgot stabilizers. The only ones, you know what? Actually, let me take it off again. The only stabilizers on these is the space bar, and even these larger keys like the backspace, the enter, and the shift, they don't have stabilizers because of how the switch is designed. You can see here there's only a switch in the middle. The two sides don't have stabilizers, and that's because the stem is large enough so that it prevents the keys from wobbling around. But then the space bar is long enough where you need the stabilizers on the two ends right here. So how these stabilizers work is when you press down on one side, it pulls down the other side too. Okay, so that makes the space bar go down evenly on both sides. Right. Alright, so the switch feel, it's going to be hard to describe how they feel because it's one of those things that you have to try yourself, but then I'll try to describe it the best I can. Alright, so when you start pushing down on the keys, there's a tactile bump at the very top as soon as you start pressing down the keys. It's not distinct like you would find in Cherry MX blues, browns, or clears. So it's actually one large tactile bump, and it goes all the way through the key press until you hit the very bottom like this. Okay, so when you start pressing on the keys, you need just enough force to overcome this initial tactile bump, but then once you do it, it kind of forces you to go all the way through the bump, and it's really hard to stop right in the middle because it either wants to pop back up or go all the way down. Okay, so when I'm typing on my Cherry MX boards, the actuation is also in the middle, and usually when I type, I just hit the actuation point in the middle and then I release the key. I don't actually bottom all the way out, so I'm not hitting the bottom a lot. But with these, it's kind of hard to do that. It's because the 45G is pretty light, and it just doesn't allow you to go halfway and then come back up. Okay, so the distance to bottoming out, it actually feels pretty deep. I'm not sure if that's just me or that's how the switch is designed. And they do feel pretty smooth. Yeah, so if you owned any Cherry MX boards, you might say that they're already smooth, but then in comparison to Topre, the Cherry MX actually feels pretty scratchy unless you lube it. Now the sound, when you press down on it, it makes a thud when it bottoms out. I don't know if you can hear it because the mic is kind of far. And when the keys pop back up, it makes a snap. And if you compare to these Cherry MX, it makes a clack when it hits the bottom. So this is more of a clack and this is more of a thud. These feel pretty snappy, but dampened at the same time. Okay, so let me actually type like a real passage so you know what it sounds like when you type real life. I'm gonna have to reset the camera for that, and then the mic is also on my shirt right now, so I'll have to move it closer. All right, so let me do that right now. Okay, the mic is right over the keyboard. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right here. So hopefully that'll pick up the sound better. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna type a short passage on Type Racer, and then I'll record the sound while doing that. Okay, so that was about 106 words a minute. Okay, so I think that's about everything. I kind of want to open it up right now, but it's new and I just got it. I don't want to really void this warranty yet. So if I missed anything, just leave it in the comments or ask on the forums. Alright, so that's about it. This is the Leopold FC660C. Alright.